What's up, everybody? It's Tyler here from Dirt Road Country, and I've got a great guest down here with me. He's putting his fourth song out on August 18th of the year. Cody Hibbard joins me. Cody, what's going on?
What's up, man? How you doing?
I'm doing very well. How are you?
I'm making it. I'm alive. I'm still breathing.
Well, that's good to hear because I'm happy to
Yeah.
have you here to chat. Now, I like to say to a lot of people that the best country music comes from the Midwest, and particularly, I mean, Texas and Oklahoma. And, well, luckily, you're from one of those states. You're from Oklahoma. So, welcome.
I appreciate it. Yeah. No, I always tell everybody, but they don't believe me. But that's God's country right there. So,
That's right. Speaking
yeah.
of the territory and you, now you're a very smart guy. I mean, you went to one of the top schools in the country. You went to Navy, and well, you got a new song about a military relationship coming out on the 18th called Bend. So, from that personal experience of going to Navy and knowing all these guys that have gone into the military and you being in the school program yourself, what was the inspiration behind the song for you?
Well, I guess there's a lot. I mean, I'll try to shorten it up, but yeah, I got accepted in the United States Naval Academy. Granddad was a recon Marine officer. My other grandpa served in the Korean War, and so love of country is a very big thing in our family. And I was able somehow to get into, like you said, one of the top colleges in the world, and I thought I was going to be an officer and serve my time out. And uh, someone else had different plans for me, and I ended up with a shoulder surgery that sent me back to the house. And I was kind of, as a kid, I did not deal with it very well. Right when I got sent back home, there was a lot of struggle, a lot of depression, like figuring out, like, man, I can't believe you actually failed at something. And there was a lot of self pity, and a bunch of times I can remember sitting there just going, you're a failure and all this kind of stuff. And I sit there, and the more, I eventually got over it, and it caused me, doing this music thing has forced me, not forced me, has allowed me to get into diving deeper into kind of that depression and that failure. And what else it's also allowed me to do is get into like a lot of the nonprofits and helping other veterans and stuff out. And so that really helped me cope, because I was able to really see that there's people out there with a lot worse problems than me. And I always knew it, but when you get to help out other people with their issues and you realize yours are minute, like it it becomes a better perspective, I guess, on your life. So with that, song, it was I know I want to write a song about PTSD or depression or something like that. I just needed it from the right standpoint. It needed to be something that other people hadn't said. So I'd done an event, and hung out with everybody all day, and and heard some stories, because some of these guys open up. They'll open up to you about to just because they think you're, as a musician, they think you're on top of life. And it's really heartfelt for me. And so some of these guys opened up and told me some things that they hadn't shared very much. And that night we'd ended up playing around a campfire, and I can remember look in these guys' eyes when they'd sit there and tell you a story, or even just talk to you. And it didn't have to be bad or sad. It could just be, anything. And you just watch their eyes kind of always go left and right. And you just always see that they're there, but they're not there sometimes. And it felt like whenever I was playing at that night with my guitar, and around a campfire, just a little acoustic deal, like the ones that are being held by their significant other, you could just see like this sense of calmness back to them. And so to me, that was kind of like powerful in the back of my mind. I didn't really think of it at that moment, but then I was at the house, and there's this willow tree, and it was getting pounded by the wind. And you always hear these songs about how the willows are strong and everything like that. And it kind of reminded me of that moment, watching these veterans and their significant others, and watching how much stronger the veteran or whoever's going through it is with someone else. And so that's what I was like, well, there's my idea, there's my songs. It's called Bend. And it's pretty much what it is. It's like how, whether it is a relationship or whether it's a friend or whether it's somebody else, like how somebody can make you stronger after going through every terrible thing you can think of. And again, brings me back to the beginning of this story where after I went home, got sent home from the Naval Academy, like how like I had to find refuge in someone or people or friends because that's what I mean, that's what I think life's really about is just we got it we're prone we're our nature is to cling to others and use that as support, and so it's kind of what this song's about. It's based off relationships, but um it and it really was written for more of a military standpoint, but really for anyone that's just got that someone that can help them get through something.
Well, I love it, man. You think of country music, and it's really all about storytelling, and that's the beauty inside of it. I mean, you think of all other genres of music, there's really no genre that tells a story like country music does. And Bend is a song that just talks about one of those facets of life that are so important. And now, for you,
Yeah.
as a country artist and being from Oklahoma, I mean, you've got stars like Vince Gill and Reba. Now, who did you grow up listening to that got you into the genre? And really, for yourself, who influenced your sound as an artist now in Nashville?
Man, we it's always funny because like when I get asked this question, people are always shocked. It's like, I always tell everyone like I didn't like country music growing up. I mean, it wasn't anything like um I did not listen to it, but I grew up on a big farm, and the last thing I wanted to be was country because I was having to live that life every single day. Getting yelled at by dad, working on something, trying to fix something, being out there in the heat. I was like, why do I want to listen to this whenever I'm living it? And so I was a big kind of loved working with dad because he'd always listen to classic rock. And mom listened to a lot of gospel Christian music. So there was always that. But I always tell everyone, when like we were going to church or something, everybody got together, like we'd flip it over to country music. And so it probably wasn't until, I don't know, when I'd say probably eighth grade, maybe even a little bit earlier than that. We had this festival um, back in the day called Country Fever, which was just right up the road. It's where they do Rocklahoma. It's literally like 5 miles from my parents' house. We snuck in there somehow, and I remember seeing Dirks Bentley for the first time. And he, I think he had just dropped his second album or something like that, and it had more punch. It had that country feel too, but it had like kind of just like that. You can just sit there and just like really enjoy it. And, that kind of brought my love for country music back again. And I say that, I've always been like a Travis Tritt fan. Was everyone that was kind of against the grain, we were always big on, Cross Canadian Ragweed, Stoney LaRue, Jason Boland, Strack, like all them guys were kind of what we always listened to growing up. Casey Donahue was big back then. Randy Rogers was always one of our favorites. But, the early Jason Aldean stuff, when he put a lot of when you first started hearing the rock in the country music, it was like, man, that's cool. So yeah, I would say a lot of that was when I started really getting into it, I'd say growing up on it. And I guess that's kind of, I don't know. It's weird because when you say sound, like for me, and again, it goes back to me growing up country. Not no dig towards anybody else, but not a lot of these new artists grew up country, and everybody looks at it wrong. They always think it's a sound that makes you country, right? And that makes me like irritates the crap out of me because I'm like, man, I grew up more country than probably 95% of these people in the town, and they want to base it off a sound. It's like it's not a sound. Country's never been a sound. Country's been about being a person. And like you said it perfect on that last question, like the songwriting, the storytelling, stuff like that. We used to listen to Red Steagall tell stories all the time. We sit on the back porch and just listen to cowboy stories. That was being country. It had nothing, didn't even have any music to it,
Mm-hmm.
And so when we talk about sound, my main thing is just I don't want to sound the same within myself. So, I've had songs like Armed and Dangerous come out, and it's more rock. We got Ice Cold Therapy, which I always call like a stoner honky tonk. Beer Problem, the last one we dropped,
Mm-hmm.
had more of a rock and riff at the intro, but it had that walking bass line, honky tonk bass line. Um, Bend is a straight up. I tell everybody it's a very military rock, country. Foo Fighters meets country
Yeah,
style song. I don't know. You listen to it, so you
I did. Yeah.
um yeah. So that's kind of how I described it because I'm a big Foo Fighters fan. On the next two I'm a big Josh Turner fan, so we put more of a Josh Turner, early Dierks Bentley vibe to it. So I have no I have a ton of influences, but at the same time, I have no sound because I always hate that.
I always think that the best part of an artist's catalog is having the ability to be versatile and having all different kind of
100%.
sounds.
Yeah, the songwriting to the production, and I do get some hate for it because some people are always like, "Can you just stick to being one thing?" And I'm like, "Well, me myself is not one thing, never
Uh,
have been.
you got to be
No,
you.
I'm the Asian guy that has the redneck accent that grew up on a 360-acre farm that went to the military and pipeline for years. And again, I promise you, and I hate even acting like this because it's not even a contest, but I'm more country than a lot of these people in that town. And I'm telling you this right now, this is going on record. Country is not a sound. Country is being a person. It's being moral. It's being, having a story behind it. And sometimes, because music is subjective, sometimes that sound isn't always what somebody wants to hear, but doesn't make someone not country. So,
That's true. I totally agree.
yeah,
Well,
yeah,
now that you're in Nashville, I mean, you're celebrating your 1 year anniversary this August. First of
yeah.
all, congratulations. And second, now that you're in town, what does the rest of the year look like for you in terms of touring around that area or going back to Texas? And I know you just talked about putting out music, so you already kind of covered that.
Yeah, we do have some more songs to drop and maybe a little acoustic EP at the end of the year. I haven't said that yet, so that's first news here. Um Trying to we're gonna get some more touring dates in. We didn't play as much this year as we wanted to. We were trying to focus more on the music. Keep writing, um, more opportunities, more cool interviews like this, just whatever we can do to one always stay in the news and but at the same time still be myself because that is also about being country is always being yourself. So
Exactly. I couldn't agree more. Well, if you guys don't follow Cody on Instagram and the rest of the social media platforms, go do it. Know that he is one of the countryest people in country music. And Cody, thank you so much for joining me. And if you haven't listened to Bend yet, well, obviously you haven't because it's not technically out yet at this point. Stream it on the 18th. You won't
the
regret it.
18, appreciate it, Tyler. Thank you, brother.
We'll see you guys next time.